This time on Road and Race,
we go through your comments
to find out which budget track car we should buy. So welcome to season 4 of Road and Race. Joining me on this series is my good friend Gary.
Hello.
You might have known him from his channel, Car Focused.
Yep, done a few videos together now, Neil.
We have done a few, yeah.
It's been good fun.
Yeah. But on this series, we're going to concentrate on buying a very cheap car and modifying it for some cheap track action.
Yeah, so we've both done vlogs on our channels and asked you guys for suggestions. We've had quite a lot of positive feedback, different options for various vehicles. So this video, we're going to basically go through those options and discuss whether that car is going to be suitable for us or not.
Yeah. So we should probably go through the criteria for the car, what we want to get. So obviously, one thing that's cheap.
Indeed. Small.
Light, ideally.
Of course.
Something with good power to weight ratio as well.
Has to be fairly fast straight out of the box.
So budget-wise, I was thinking about £1,000.
I think
where you were?
I think about £1,000, yeah.
Because then that'll leave us with £2,000 to £3,000 to modify it, roughly.
Plus, I think with £1,000, you should be able to get a reasonably good condition car. Obviously, if you're looking at sort of 500, it's going to be a bit of a
shed.
Yeah.
So first up, let's talk about BMWs then.
I suppose we're going to have to at some point, aren't we?
BMWs are good. So if we look at the Z3 to begin with, from my research, now please forgive me if I've made any mistakes with these, please leave a comment and we'll correct it, but as far as I can tell, the Z3 is 118 brake horsepower and weighs 1.2 tonnes, which is about 90. Yeah, but it seems a bit low, doesn't it? 98 brake horsepower per tonne.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's too low.
It seems a bit low, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we've not done major research on how easy it is to modify these cars and stuff like that, so we're just looking at the kind of the book figures and the cost. Moving up, you've got a E46 328i, which is 190 horsepower, about 1.3 tonnes.
Yeah, better.
Yeah. That's 146 horsepower per tonne, and then going up to the slightly heavier E46 330i, 1.5 tonnes, 231 horsepower.
Yeah, good horsepower figure.
Good horsepower
figure. 1.5 tonnes is a lot to be chucking around the track, isn't it?
You could probably strip a lot of that weight out, but I wouldn't know how low we could get it. But yeah, there are options there. I'm driving around quite a heavy M3, 1.6 tonnes at the moment, and you feel the weight.
Yeah.
So
especially after the Caterham, which weighs pretty much nothing, and then driving the M3 afterwards, you definitely feel it.
Half, Michael Broski, Raquel Salim, sorry about pronunciations, Scott Davis, Jim 6267, RK, Murdy and Nicholas Ramsey for those suggestions.
Yeah, good suggestions. Right, what's next?
So let's have a look at some Fords then.
Okay, obviously Fords, that's sort of my forte, being a big Ford fanboy. A few suggestions we've had for Fords is the Mk6 Fiesta ST, 150 brake horsepower, 2 litre naturally aspirated 16 valve. I think it weighs around 1.1, 1.2 tonnes, around that sort of area. Great chassis, but possibly a little bit underpowered. You're probably going to have to tune that up a little bit, which is going to cost some money. So there is that, or then there's the Focus ST170, very similar power output, but 170 horsepower, about 1.4 tonnes.
Okay, power to weight ratio is not going to be...
Yeah, so you're looking at 0 to 60 around 7.9 for both of those. Good cars, but I think there's probably something better out there that would suit us.
Okay. Moving on to some of the more random suggestions we had on the channels. The Moose has suggested the Volvo 850R.
Big Volvo.
Big Volvo, yeah. So that doesn't meet our first criteria of small.
Fast though.
Subaru is a popular option as well. A few people suggested Subaru STIs.
Yeah, everyone knows about the old Scoobies, don't they?
I'd like to do one of those eventually. I think maybe for this budget it might be a bit expensive and a bit heavy.
Turbocharged, you need to spend a bit of money, don't you, to get some power out of it.
We have the Lexus IS 200. I researched it, only 150 brake horsepower, and it's a bit heavy.
Rear-wheel drive.
Could be
fun, yeah.
Is it rear-wheel drive? Okay.
Rear-wheel drive.
Always like a bit of rear-wheel drive. Blatantly John has suggested the Saxo VTS.
Good choice.
I think so.
VTS, good choice. However, they're very rare.
Oh.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Saxo VTS 106 GTI, very rare, and I think they might be over budget.
Did a bit of research, 118 brake horsepower as well.
Okay. Very light though, literally weighs about as much as a cigarette paper. I don't smoke.
Yeah, I thought it was a weird analogy to me. Nick Angelo Chianella suggested the Dacia Sandero.
Oh, yes.
That's the one.
That is it.
That's it. Let's do it.
Right, case closed.
Just cut. It's got at least, what, 90 horsepower,
Has
I think,
it?
that bad boy, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have no idea.
Could be good fun. Clio chassis.
Maybe it's James May suggesting that.
Maybe. He did love the Sandero.
He did, yeah.
So yeah, top of the list so far.
Moving on, we've had 2 suggestions for Civic Type-R, one from Sam Bauer and John Shaw. The EP3 model.
EP3, pretty legendary Civic Type-R.
I drove one only 2 days ago.
Yeah, did you enjoy?
Yeah, the standard suspension is very soft.
That can be changed though.
It can be changed,
Yeah.
but lovely nippy car.
VTEC.
VTEC, yo.
VTEC, yeah.
VTEC, yo. That's how you say it, isn't it?
No.
So it's, at the moment, it's got the highest brake horsepower per tonne ratio.
It's a good contender. Plus, I'm pretty sure they dynoed an engine and put 1 million miles on it, and it was still pretty solid during development.
So I like the shape, I like the styling. It's a bit cheese wedge-like, but I like that. And it's got the unique gear knob, which is coming out the dash, which is always fun. I looked at some figures, £1,600 for one that's done about 100,000 miles.
Which isn't much on a Type-R, really.
140,000 miles, slightly cheaper, £1,300. So slightly over budget, but probably the best power to weight ratio we've talked about so far.
Definitely one of the best suggestions we've had, I think, the Type-R, for what we're after.
And moving on to the Renault Clio, Renault Sport.
The Clio.
We had quite a lot of people suggest this. Jambles 3, Mr. Was...
Some interesting names here.
Mr. Wazza the Lad, Mr. Marrow, Af Alterbach, 1967, John Connors, the list could go on.
A lot.
Yeah, all think it's a good choice. Apparently it's about a tonne in weight and 170 horsepower.
Yep. I mean, I've owned one of these. I own the 182.
So slightly newer.
10 brake horsepower more. Fantastic handling little cars. Great fun. I think that's definitely going to be a strong contender.
Because you can pick those up for about £1,000 to £1,500 depending on condition.
Yeah. How much did you say they weigh? A tonne?
About a tonne, yeah.
I think. So you could probably shed quite a lot of weight just with an interior diet as well.
A little bit of weight, who knows, but yeah.
No, I think it's a really good suggestion, the Clio.
So I think we need to narrow down the choices to maybe 2 cars and talk about those.
Definitely.
So what are your contenders then?
I'm pretty much sold on the Civic Type-R, the EP3, and the Clio 172/182.
I think they make the most sense, don't they? They're cheap, they're light, they're probably cheap to modify.
Yeah, cheap, light, fairly powerful straight out of the box.
Yeah, good power to weight ratio.
Yeah, I think they're definitely the best contenders. When you look at things like the BMW, that kind of thing, I think they're going to be more expensive to maintain, heavier,
more
just
cost in
more
tyres
work
and things
needed.
like that.
Yeah. So I think Clio and Civic Type-R.
I'm leaning more towards the Clio because the Type-R is slightly heavier.
Yeah.
Got a little bit more power, but it's got that little bit more weight, and they're slightly more expensive to try and find a good one.
I completely agree. I think the Clio is going to be the one for us, basically. As you say, the Type-R, great cars, bit too expensive, bit heavier, whereas the Clio, it just kind of has it straight out the box.
Okay, so it sounds like we decided.
I think so.
Okay.
Dacia Sandero.
Dacia Sandero!
No, so what is it then? What are we going for?
Clio.
Clio, definitely. We're going to have a Clio! Dacia Sandero.
Next time on Road and Race. Join us on the hunt for the perfect second-hand Renault Clio RS.